Die with zero. It's a phrase describing a new trend among baby boomers that could leave younger generations feeling a little bitter. Instead of passing down their wealth to their kids, many boomers are planning to spend their money while they're still alive, leaving little to no inheritance behind.
Let's bring in our Queen City News Chief Business Correspondent Taylor Young. Taylor, I can imagine some people having some mixed reactions to this depending on what generation they're in.
Yeah, I hope this topic doesn't cause too much resentment or animosity, but I think the data that we are about to discuss could come as a massive shock, especially to the Gen Z millennials, because I think that there is kind of a general assumption that when their parents die, they are going to be left with some kind of inheritance. But, and in fact, a lot of them are actually depending on that inheritance for their kind of financial future, whether that's a home or retirement. But instead, a growing number of boomers are saying, hold up, I spent my whole life working for this money. I'm going to enjoy it while I am still here. Now, in a recent survey by Northwestern Mutual, it found only 22% of baby boomers, aka people born between the years of 1946 and 1965, will leave an inheritance to their children. That means the vast majority of this generation plans to use up their wealth instead of passing it on. According to the survey, the biggest priorities being life experiences like travel and enjoying their retirement, which is fair. But, you know, while I do think that these responses might come off as a little harsh to those younger generations, I will say there is some more logic to the fact that this generation maybe is holding on to their money a lot longer than previous generations before them.
I can see why this would be a controversial topic. All right, so is there more to this shift that we can unpack here, Taylor?
Yeah, I think there's more practical reasons that maybe Gen Z and millennials, you know, might understand more. And I think number one, I mean, rising healthcare costs, right? I mean, this is a major concern for this older generation. I mean, the older you get, the more likely you're going to need medical intervention. You know, life expectancy is also just getting longer and longer. So it is estimated that 65-year-olds will spend upwards of $165,000 pretty much through the duration of their retirement. And second, I think like every generation right now, I mean, they've been hit hard by inflation. So many people who are kind of past that age of retirement have had to go back to work over the last couple of years just to afford life. So while I do think that there is this kind of thought process of I want to spend this money while I'm still alive, I do think that there is a big portion of this group that's wondering if they're even going to have something to leave for their children. Having said that, I mean, this generation does hold a lot of the country's wealth.
Okay, so we're talking about a lot of the country's wealth. Let's put that more into context. How much wealth are we talking about here, Taylor?
Yeah, so while boomers make up a little bit more than 20% of the U.S. population, they hold more than half of the country's wealth. So that's a whole lot. That of course includes homes, that includes stocks, mutual funds, and retirement savings. So that's a lot of money just for, you know, 20% of the population. So you could see why the younger generations might be kind of saying, okay, give me some of that.
Okay, so let's talk about, some people call it money hoarding, call it whatever you want, but you got these unexpected, unexecuted medical bills. Maybe it is for vacations, whatever the reason that they may hang on to their money. What kind of impact could this have on the younger generation?
So, I mean, let's just start with the housing topic. I mean, given how high prices are, there is a big chunk of millennials and Gen Z that think, I will not be able to ever buy a house without an inheritance to help me put a down payment down. Similar for retirement, you know, it's estimated 50% of the Gen Z and millennial population think that they will heavily need this inheritance, whether it's, you know, $20,000, $100,000, whatever that amount is, to kind of set them up for the future. And I also think when we talk about generational wealth, this might not just impact the next generations coming up, right? Because if Gen Z and millennials can't afford to buy homes, which I do think is a broader issue, it's not just because they're not getting an inheritance, but that means their children are impacted by that, their children after. So yeah, this is a hot topic. I hope it's not going to spur a bunch of phone calls to people's parents.
You know what? I beg to differ. I hope it does. I think.
So how's that go?
I think
hey, mom, dad, what are you leaving me?
Yeah. Like, I mean, not in a rude kind of way, but yeah, I think there should be a conversation
For financial planning?
Yeah, because some people would say, well, my parents are being selfish, but then you can see the flip side going, I earned it, I should be able to spend it. But that's also kind of a parent's responsibility, is to be able to pass down a little bit for your kids and your grandkids and the generations to come without spoiling them.
If anything, it will prevent a shock after a death happens too.
Yeah, 100%.
Have
the conversation now is also what I'm saying, because when or if that day happens, you don't want siblings or whoever squabbling over what's going on.
But I think the flip side too is that we used to see where parents would move in with their kids afterwards. You don't see that as much, so you know that's the flip side. Yes, they're spending money at home, but they're staying in the home by themselves. If you have mom and dad live with you, that saves them some money. Maybe you get some inheritance. Lot to talk about it.
Man,
obviously
we
a talker.
Just keep going. This is good. Yeah, Taylor,
Well, thank you guys.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.